Welcome into this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us as your Seattle Seahawks have got some terrible news. We will explain what exactly is going on heading into this week's matchup against the Miami Dolphins coming up in just a matter of moments. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for stopping by. Before we go any further in today's show, all week long in the lead up to this Sunday's matchup against the Dolphins, we are in a sub-battle with that fraud Nicholas Roloff and the Dolphins Today channel. And I got to tell you, we're off to a good start, but we need to make sure that we're padding on to this lead here a bit, folks. We don't want to just beat the Dolphins on the football field. We want to beat them off the football field as well. Show why we have the best fans in the National Football League. For daily Seattle Seahawks news and rumors, live shows, watch parties, including this weekend for the Seahawks-Dolphins game, you gotta be subscribed to Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Sub now, sub for dubs, youtube.com/SeahawksTV, and we'll get started with today's show. Oh, brother, it is not looking great. The injury report for the Seahawks heading into Sunday's matchup against the Miami Dolphins. The Seahawks are very banged up and across the board. When you look at the offense, the defense, and everything in between, the practice report for Wednesday was not great. Let's go over it piece by piece. Kenneth Walker with the oblique injury. It kept him out of Week 2 against the New England Patriots. He did not practice on Wednesday. Not a good sign for his status for a potential return this weekend. Brady Russell with the shoulder injury. He also did not practice as well. Brady Russell, I know that he's not thought of as one of the better tight ends on this team necessarily, but that position is already a bit shorthanded. Laken Tomlinson got the day off, got to enjoy some rest, enjoyed some cocktails, and got to kick it back a bit. And for a guy his age, he could use all the rest he could get, so not a problem for him to have a little day off there. Jerome Baker with a hamstring injury. He did not practice as well. This has been an ongoing thing for Jerome Baker over the last couple of weeks there with that hamstring. Uchenna Nwosu, we have yet to see him in 2024, and he also did not practice with the knee injury. No surprise there. Could still be a bit before Uchenna Nwosu ultimately makes his return. Boye Mafe with a knee injury. He did not practice as well, and so that leaves some big question marks at the outside linebacker spot. With no Uchenna, no Boye, where do they potentially go from here? We'll see. Kayvon Wallace at the safety position with a shoulder injury. He did not practice. Leonard Williams with a knee injury also did not practice. Leonard Williams is off to a fantastic start to this 2024 campaign. Remember, he started 18 games, more than any player in the NFL last year. Did not get that bye after he was traded from New York. DK Metcalf, who's coming off arguably his best game ever, or at least in a long time anyway, the way he performed against the New England Patriots. The hand injury, did not practice. We're going to have more on DK coming up later on. Pharaoh Brown, we mentioned the tight end spot, a little shorthanded right now. He was limited in Wednesday's practice. Well, a few more for you here on this list. Laviska Shenault with the foot injury, he was a full go. So that was good to see from him that we'll talk about coming up later. Noah Fant with the toe injury, he was limited. George Fant with the knee injury, he did not play. Remember this past week against New England, he was limited. Tyler Lockett with the thigh injury, he was limited. We'll see if that affects him for this upcoming weekend. Derick Hall, another outside linebacker with a hip injury, he was also limited. And then Devon Witherspoon with a hamstring injury, limited. We heard Devon Witherspoon say at the beginning of the season, one of his goals this year is to play in every single game this season. Remember last year he played in just 14 of 17. Shenault with the foot injury, full go. He was ready to go. Tyrel Dodson with a shoulder injury, he was a full go. And then Jarran Reed with a knee injury was a full go. So that is the complete practice report. A lot of names there on the injury report of players that did not participate, that were limited, and were a full go. I'll say this, though. Although it was a lengthy list of names that we just went through, I'm pretty concerned heading into this weekend of who's going to be available, and then of the guys that play, that's the other part of this equation here, is who's going to be at full strength come Sunday? Are we going to see a number of guys out there that are playing at 70, 75, 80, 85%? That remains to be seen. But the silver lining in all this, folks, is you're facing this guy, that fraud Skylar Thompson, who has just looked awful so far in his time in the National Football League with a completion percentage of less than 57%, 3 interceptions, only 1 career touchdown pass thrown. So it could be a lot worse situation-wise. You're not facing Tua. You are facing a very short-handed Dolphins team. And Tua's not the only injury. They have some injury issues of their own as well there in Miami right now. Are you worried about the Seahawks injury report based on what we just went through? Let us know in our pinned comment today. Y for yes, N for no. Chime in and tell me what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time has got you covered. You choose the event you want to go to. Maybe it's to see your Seahawks play the Dolphins this weekend. Maybe you want to go see the Mariners, or you want to go see the Seattle Storm. All sorts of different options to choose from. You choose the event, choose the seat you want to go to. Check out their seat views, get the visual, see if you like that seat or not. Might stumble upon a super deal as well. You can't pass up on those. And then you're checking out with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and great seats. You don't have to worry about wasting time searching through thousands of tickets. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. So a few thoughts here on the injuries and what that is going to lead into for Sunday. Number one, expect more of Zach Charbonnet this Sunday. Charbonnet has not gotten off to a good start to this season. Didn't look great against Denver. Last week against New England was held at 2.7 yards per carry. I think a lot of it has to do with the offensive line, but Charbonnet has to step up. Look, I understand the offensive line isn't doing you too many favors right now, but you still have Charles Cross rated as the best left tackle in football. Maybe you have to get more creative and run more to the left side, but nonetheless, Charbonnet going to need to do more. We're going to need to see his play step up this week. It's going to be a collective effort. We need more from the offensive line, but we need more from Charbonnet too. DK, I think, is going to be fine, honestly. I think that hand issue, the fact that, it's a hand and it was a Wednesday practice report. I think you give it time. DK should be okay. That's one where, if it was another injury, like I see guys with hammies on Wednesday, that's not a good sign. But the hand issue, I think that's something that he could potentially work through and be A-okay as far as that goes. So DK, not too concerned. He's coming off such a good performance against New England this past week. 129 yards, 12.9 yards of reception. And he's going to be motivated facing the other side of the talent that's there with guys like Jalen Ramsey and company. So with DK on the injury report, with Tyler Lockett on the injury report, this feels like a big game for Jackson Smith-Njigba. JSN coming off a strong performance last week against New England. I think this is like a JSN legacy game because he is the best completely healthy option at this point. The Seahawks are going to need everything they can get out of JSN, and I think he's going to deliver. But here's the other thing. With all this being said, you think about what we're looking at. You got offensive line banged up. You got receivers banged up. You got running backs banged up. Geno Smith. Geno's going to need to come through and deliver. And Geno's played very good to start the season with close to 500 yards. Completion percentage is extremely high, 74%. Had more passing yards than any quarterback in the league. Last week, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. To me, Geno is going to have to kind of pull something out of his ass because he's not going to have everybody that he can depend on. It's going to be up to him to make some plays and get the most out of some of these guys that we typically don't talk about every week. Maybe it's a Jake Bobo, potentially speaking. Maybe it's a Kenny McIntosh as far as that goes. So watch out. Geno's going to need to be on it because he's going to be limited of some of his potential help there. Do you believe that Geno's going to have a big game this week against Miami? If you do, type B for believe. If not, that's okay too. Type D for don't. Weigh in, let us know. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today for continuing Seahawks coverage. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time here on the channel.